Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Soul Land 2 Peerless Tang Men based on novel. So let's start. As the previous two fusions were perfect fusions, they had gone very smoothly. The Heavenly Dragon Horse and Ruby Soft Tendon Python were very weak. They didn't experience any changes, and their soul power undulations couldn't really be felt before the fusions were completed. They only revealed their strength after their fusions were completed. However, the Golden Tortoise experienced abnormal changes the moment Shusa started to fuse with its strength. The Golden Tortoise exuded concentrated golden light from its body, which surged towards Shusa and started to fuse with him. However, a wave of strong life aura suddenly surged from the Golden Tortoise. Its shell didn't turn illusory as a result of the fusion. Instead, it became more and more real. Streaks of strong golden light filled with a strong life aura were released from its shell. Every ridge on its shell was shining with golden light. Huo Yuhao focused his gaze and subconsciously lifted his right hand. If something was amiss, he would immediately end the spirit transmission and kill the Golden Tortoise. However, Shusa waved his hand at him, signaling that things were fine. While Huo Yuhao was very adept at spirit transmission, he wasn't the one undergoing the process right now. Shusa was very surprised by the sudden changes, but he could sense that the Golden Tortoise was completely willing to fuse with him. Furthermore, this sudden, strong life aura was only beneficial to him. There weren't any drawbacks. Throughout this entire process, he clearly felt that the strength of his Xuanwu blood lineage was stabilizing. It was even rising continuously. This meant that the blood lineage of the Golden Tortoise was extremely compatible with him. This was what every soul master desired. How could he bear it if the process were interrupted? The Golden Tortoise also glanced at Huo Yuhao. However, it seemed to be in pain, and immediately shut its eyes. The life aura was simply too strong. Suddenly, a buzz sounded, and the entire spirit transmission hall shook slightly. Following this, the Eye of Destiny on Huo Yuhao's forehead opened on its own. A streak of jade-green light was instantly released from his Eye of Destiny and drifted above the Golden Tortoise's shell. Suddenly, jade-green light shone brightly, and the strong life aura in the air surged towards a small carving blade that was shining with jade-green light. This was a situation that no one had expected, including Huo Yuhao. Huo Yuhao's life guardian blade appeared on its own to absorb the strong life energy. What did this mean? As he had nourished his life guardian blade for a long time, Huo Yuhao was very familiar with it now. There was an immense and pure life energy contained within his life gold. It had always been scornful of other external energies. Even if it absorbed the life energy of certain matter, that life energy would dissipate on its own and wouldn't fuse with its origin energy. It was proud, or perhaps picky. It was as if there wasn't any life force in this world that could satisfy it. However, something surprising happened today. When Shusa was undergoing his spirit transmission, the life energy that surged from the Golden Tortoise's body was actually absorbed by it. In addition, Huo Yuhao could sense that this was a pure absorption and assimilation. The life energy it had just absorbed wasn't going to dissipate after being absorbed. Did this mean that the Golden Tortoise possessed life energy that was of the same tier as Huo Yuhao's life gold? However, why was this Golden Tortoise's life energy so weak that it was even on the verge of death if this was the case? This was extremely difficult to comprehend. Slowly, the Golden Tortoise's life aura became less intense after it was devoured by Huo Yuhao's life guardian blade. However, its body started to expand, and a stronger life aura started to surge out. The jade-green light from the life guardian blade also became stronger and stronger as it absorbed that pure life energy. Huo Yuhao's body also received some feedback. As the life energy permeated through him, he felt extremely restrained. Streaks of light surged out from his body, turning into 3 projections. They were the projections of the Snow Empress, the Ice Empress, and the Skydream iceworm. Of course, the star anise mysterious ice grass wasn't excluded either. It was just that it grew directly from Huo Yuhao's shoulder. Everyone was stunned when they saw the 4 projections that surged from Huo Yuhao's body. Even those of Shrek's 7 monsters didn't know that he had so many spirits in his body. They were only familiar with the Snow Empress. Gentle, jade-green halos appeared on the bodies of all 4 spirits. These halos were like dim flames that surrounded their bodies. The Snow Empress, Ice Empress, and Skydream Iceworm were all excited. Such strong life energy was great for them. Although they were spirits, they still craved life energy. As spirits, they could only become more corporeal if they had sufficient energy. Generally speaking, spirits couldn't leave their soul masters. However, they could travel further away from their soul masters if they were strong enough. They could also get closer to becoming as corporeal as they were when they were still alive. Life force, especially pure life force, nourished their bodies much more than soul power. How could these 4 spirits be unwilling? Shusanshi's fusion also seemed to be going smoothly. His Xuanwu shield already shone with a layer of bright gold, and the tortoise snake on it seemed to come alive as it squirmed slightly. But the golden tortoise kept on expanding in size. Right now, it was already 5 meters in diameter. As it lay where it was, golden light shone brightly from its body, making it look extremely magical. It definitely wasn't a 20,000 or 30,000 year soul beast. Huo Yuhao could tell that by now. The size that this golden tortoise had expanded to was the actual size of its body. Even for tortoises, a species that enjoyed great longevity, it was impossible for a 20,000 or 30,000 year tortoise to grow to such a size. This meant that this golden tortoise indeed suffered from a problem. Its problem was very obvious, and it was even taboo for the kings of soul beasts in the Great Star Doe Forest. Otherwise, it wouldn't have to restrain its own size. Only one thing about it was real. Its weakness. Right now, Huo Yuhao was certain that the golden tortoise's life energy didn't belong to it, even though it was immense. It wasn't able to control such great life energy. The force that was restraining all the life energy disappeared after the golden tortoise fused with Shusansha, releasing it all in the process. Huo Yuhao wasn't the only beneficiary. To different extents, everyone around him felt comfortable as they were immersed in this immense life energy. When a soul master reached an advanced tier, his physical strength was an important barrier that limited the increase of his cultivation. The immense life energy that they basked in was enough to provide them with sufficient energy to fight for years. Apart from Huo Yuhao, Shusansha benefited the most. During his fusion with the golden tortoise, the amount of life energy he absorbed was only less than what Huo Yuhao's life guardian blade absorbed. Right now, there was an additional dim golden glow on his skin, which seeped into his body and even made his blood vessels visible. They were stained gold, and even his blood turned gold. This gold that covered and penetrated his entire body was filled with life energy. This was the origin strength of the golden tortoise. Although it couldn't absorb all that life energy, it seemed to have fused with a lot of it. Right now, all of that was pouring into Shusanshi's body. The golden tortoise suddenly lifted its head and said to Shusansha, "If you go against this contract in the future, and don't find me a pretty tortoise, I'll fight it out with you. You've gained greatly this time." Shusansha chuckled and replied, "Don't worry. I'm a man of my word. However, what's going on here?" The contract was about to be completed, but the golden tortoise's body was still very corporeal. There wasn't any sign that its body was about to gradually disappear, as it neared the end of this spirit fusion. The golden tortoise laughed bitterly. "Greedy. Greedy. Otherwise, why would I bother fusing with a human? It's all my fault. I was too greedy then. I seem to be familiar with your aura." Beside Huo Yuhao, the Skydream iceworm, who presented himself as a handsome man, suddenly opened his mouth. The golden tortoise glanced at him and said, "Familiar? Who are you? Why do I sense something from your aura, too?" The Skydream iceworm squinted slightly, and rings of gold quickly rose from his feet. There was a total of 10 rings. After they drifted up, they surrounded his body in a parallel manner and stopped. The golden tortoise was stunned as he asked, "Ah. It's you. You were that iceworm. My gosh. Why have you fused with a human, too? This is too unbelievable." The Skydream iceworm turned fierce and said, "Idiot, you also absorbed my life energy back then, right? The golden tortoise coughed awkwardly after discovering the existence of its victim. However, its eyes turned slightly red after this. That's right. I absorbed some of your strength then. However, I absorbed it sneakily. I didn't do anything to you. But did you know the problems I suffered after absorbing your life energy? If I hadn't absorbed your life energy then, I wouldn't have been so sensitive to life forces, and wouldn't have turned greedy, eventually landing myself in such a state. Huo Yuhao was confused as he looked at the golden tortoise and asked, "What's going on? Do you know Brother Skydream?" The Skydream iceworm snorted and replied, "Yuhao, do you remember what I told you before? My life energy and soul power were absorbed by a group of the strongest soul beasts in the Great Star Doe Forest. I was only left with pure spiritual power when I met you. It must be this guy who absorbed my life energy. From the life energy that he released, I can sense a part of it contains my aura. That's why I found it so familiar." As Huo Yuhao's abilities grew stronger and stronger, the Skydream iceworm didn't have to hide himself so much. Even if the god beast Di Qian knew that he was inside Huo Yuhao's body, he wouldn't dare to deal with Huo Yuhao. Huo Yuhao controlled the destiny of the entire Great Star Doe Forest. Furthermore, those who were present now were all Huo Yuhao's close friends, and given the strength of Huo Yuhao's spiritual power, even Bai Ji wouldn't be able to eavesdrop on them. The golden tortoise's tone of voice suddenly sounded very depressed. "It's none of my business anyway. I only absorbed your life energy then. However, I landed myself in a tragic state because of that. If I had known what was going to happen, I wouldn't have been so greedy." Shusa was curious as he asked, "What happened? You don't really have a 30,000-year cultivation, right?" "Of course not," the golden tortoise said arrogantly. "Most golden tortoises are able to survive for more than 10,000 years. I'm a 100,000-year soul beast." If there were any other soul beast present to hear its words, they would have the urge to knock themselves against a wall. Most golden tortoises were indeed able to survive past 10,000 years. Even the golden-eyed black dragon King Di Qian wouldn't dare to dispute this. Most species of soul beast would have an enemy. Golden tortoises were one of the rare, few species that didn't have a natural enemy. Any soul beast that got close to them would be blessed by their fortune. It would take it half the cultivation effort to achieve double the result. The golden tortoise's fighting strength was naturally not very great, but their reputation was built on their longevity. Naturally, they were adept at something, their defense. Among their innate skills, they had one called invincible barrier. Humans' invincible barriers were, to some extent, inspired by and derived from the golden tortoises. Even a savage beast would find it difficult to overcome the defense of a 100,000-year golden tortoise. Some kind of special method would have to be used to slowly weaken the defense of such a beast. Shusa was perplexed as he asked, "Since you are at the tier of a soul beast king, why are you in such a tragic state?" The look in the golden tortoise's eyes turned dimmer, and it appeared to be in great pain. "Initially, I absorbed the iceworm's life energy and soul power from underground. Due to my fortune, I was able to hide my aura very well. Even the god beast Di Qian didn't realize it. Furthermore, there were many 100,000-year soul beasts there then. I'm also a 100,000-year soul beast. If not for the fact that I was afraid of being remembered by Di Qian, I would have dared to absorb his life energy openly. I followed him underground and absorbed it until he had no more life energy left, and then I escaped while Di Qian wasn't looking. I was very proud and delighted then. After absorbing so much life energy, I was confident of crossing the 20,000-year bottleneck by coupling it with my own life energy. Tortoises, especially golden tortoises, rarely reach a 20,000-year cultivation, even though most will survive beyond 10,000 years. If we choose to be reborn, we'll become nourishment for humans and other soul beasts. We won't dare to do that. That is why we'll generally wait until we die. If I reached at least a 20,000-year cultivation, I'd become a hero among golden tortoises even if I wasn't the first to do so. My confidence was bursting then, and caused me to become complacent. As I'm a water and earth-type soul beast, I'm very adept at moving underground and underwater. However, I was greedy, and snuck my way into the lake of life that Di Qian normally rests in. I always knew that the lake of life was a secret existence. Di Qian has been living there since ancient times. I can almost confirm that he was able to reach his 800,000-year cultivation and achieve breakthrough after breakthrough because of his lake of life. Back then, Di Qian wasn't in the lake of life because he was trying to capture the iceworm's spiritual energy. That was why I tried to sneak my way in and use my concealment abilities to hide myself from Di Qian. I thought that I might be able to become as strong as Di Qian in the future if I could find the secret to the water of life, and eventually lead all the tortoises to rule the great Star Doe forest. Everyone's expressions turned weird when they heard the golden tortoise's words. It was being overly arrogant. A tortoise who wasn't adept at fighting was dreaming if it thought that it could rule the great Star Doe forest. The golden tortoise must have had been extremely conceited back then. It was its egocentricity that brought it so much trouble. The golden tortoise didn't seem to sense the weird looks that everyone was giving it and continued. After I snuck into the water of life, I was especially careful. This was because I knew that it was Di Qian's habitat. I was confident that he wouldn't kill me even if he found me, because my destiny was especially strong after I reached a 10,000-year cultivation. In the entire Great Star Doe forest, no other soul beasts could compare to me, apart from the auspicious Emperor Beast. My survival is extremely beneficial to the entire forest. It's also because of this that I was so brazen. As a result, I sought the secret of the water of life. The more I swam, the closer I got to the core of it. I discovered that the life energy in the water of life was especially immense. Although I couldn't directly absorb and assimilate it like I managed to absorb the iceworm's life energy, it could continuously nourish my body. I was fully certain of my conjecture. Di Qian was able to live so long and achieve breakthrough after breakthrough because he was nourished by the water of life. It's just that he's too powerful, and thus no soul beasts can venture into his territory. I guessed that the water of life must have an origin if it contained such immense life energy. Given the amount of life energy present, it might have originated from some kind of treasure. That's why I went to find this treasure. Finally, I found the mouth of a spring at the core of the water of life. It was the source of the entire lake of life. Around this mouth was a ring of green metal. This green metal was very weird. It contained the purest life energy above it. I knew that I had found the correct place. Although I couldn't leave with the mouth of that spring, I could still leave with the metal. Although golden tortoises aren't adept at fighting, our bite is one of the strongest in the world of soul beasts. As a result, I bit hard on a piece of that metal, and bit off close to 1/5 of the jade green metal. However, Di Qian was simply too strong. He immediately sensed it when the metal was damaged. A terrifying suppression immediately descended on me. I was very scared then, as I sensed Di Qian's extreme fury. I was really afraid that he might kill me without regard for anything else. As a result, I did my best to dive all the way down to the bottom of the lake and into the mud at the bottom. After that, I kept on digging, and also did my best to conceal my aura so that he wouldn't find me. However, I soon realized that it was all for nothing, because the piece of metal that I stole contained too much life energy. I could conceal my aura, but I couldn't conceal its aura. I would have definitely been exposed. Eventually, I decided to swallow it, since it was good stuff anyway. What? Huo Yuhao exclaimed. You ate life gold. No wonder your life energy is so immense, but doesn't belong to you. Huo Yuhao could roughly guess what was going on after hearing the golden tortoise's description. He had been to the water of life before. He could sense that the concentrated life energy there seemed to be related to life gold. It was just that he couldn't confirm it, and he wasn't as bold as the golden tortoise. He wasn't bold enough to search for treasures in Di Qian's habitat. Not only did the golden tortoise succeed, but it even managed to eat the life gold. But judging by its current condition, it seemed that eating the life gold didn't generate any benefits for it. So that metal is called life gold to humans. It's this thing that got me into so much trouble, the golden tortoise said depressingly. After I devoured the life gold back then, I realized that it indeed contained life energy. I also sensed that the immense life energy was permeating through my entire body. After Di Qian returned, he wasn't able to find me, which left me extremely delighted about managing to sneak into an area that he controlled. However, I started to realize that things were amiss after I returned to my own habitat. At the start, that metal was releasing life energy that infiltrated my entire body. However, it seemed to slowly familiarize with my body, and then started to absorb my life energy instead. Golden tortoises have very prosperous life energy, especially me, since I have 100,000-year cultivation. My life energy was naturally very prosperous. However, this thing is completely irrational. It just keeps on absorbing my life energy every day. I tried to expel it from my body, but it seemed to grow inside my body instead. No matter what I did, I couldn't drive it out. I could only look on helplessly as it sucked my life energy away every single day, until it was almost drained. Given my current state, I don't dare to ask other soul beasts for help. Di Qian wouldn't let me off if he found out about this. This is why I can only let you humans take advantage of me. At least I'll be able to survive longer in a different form in this way. This is why I say one shouldn't be greedy. Greed kills. RRR. Everyone had a different feeling when they saw this golden tortoise wailing so depressingly. However, most of them were alerted. Yes. Greed was fatal. While life gold was a good thing, this golden tortoise's life energy was slowly sucked away after it swallowed the metal into its body, to the point where it was about to die. This was a very heavy lesson to learn. As the golden tortoise spoke up to hear, its fusion with Shusa was about to be completed. However, its body still didn't disappear. Its huge body slowly drifted into mid-air and started to shrink. During the process of shrinking, its golden tortoise shell became brighter and brighter. It seemed to be molten gold as it shot out light in all directions. The earlier release of the immense life energy seemed to be ending. Most of it had been devoured by the life guardian blade. When the golden tortoise's body shrank until it was only 1 meter in diameter, it suddenly whooshed and flew over to Shusa, and was imprinted onto Shusanshi's Xuanwu shield, which was showing behind him. Shusanshi's shield and the tortoise shell suddenly resurfaced, and Shusanshi's body jerked. Following this, a red soul ring instantly rose from beneath his feet. His 7th soul ring was a 100,000-year soul ring. His Xuanwu shield slowly revolved behind him. Ridges started appearing on the tortoise shell. Just like the golden tortoise's back, the snake was now dyed gold, and the entire Xuanwu shield was also covered with a layer of dark gold light. With just a glance, it was possible to sense the thick aura exuding from this shield. It felt indestructible, as if it could provide an eternal defense. Shusa was delighted. He waved his right hand, and his Xuanwu shield flew into his hands. Instantly, his entire body was covered with a layer of dark golden light. His 7th red soul ring surged with light continuously. It wasn't just a 100,000-year soul ring. It was also a 100,000-year spirit. Besides Huo Yuhao, he was the only other person with a 100,000-year spirit. The golden tortoise didn't just give him 2 soul rings, it provided him with an all-around enhancement. His Xuanwu shield had completely evolved into a Xuanwu, and it even carried the aura of a golden tortoise now. More accurately speaking, it carried the aura of a golden Xuanwu now. At the same time, the life energy that the golden tortoise brought to him was sufficient for him to cultivate until he became a titled Doluo. The overall enhancements that he had received completely consolidated his foundation to become a transcendent Doluo in the future. Furthermore, Shusa was holding his golden Xuanwu shield right now. He could clearly sense his defensive strength soaring. As he held this shield, he felt completely worry-free. It was something that he had never experienced before. Even when he didn't circulate his soul power, his golden Xuanwu shield was still extremely strong. Was there even anything else that was more wonderful than this? Shusa danced in excitement. At this point, a jade-green light flashed, and a piece of metal separated from the golden Xuanwu shield. It dropped onto the floor and made a jingling sound. This piece of metal didn't seem very big. Its shape was also not uniform, and there even seemed to be teeth marks on it. The golden tortoise's voice sounded, but it was sighing. It's finally out. This terrifying fellow has troubled me for thousands of years. Whoever wants it, quickly put it away. Don't let the emerald swan see it. Otherwise, the beast god will find trouble with you. Shusa didn't take it. Instead, he looked at Huo Yuhao and said, "Little junior, quick." Huo Yuhao was stunned for a moment. "Third senior, life gold is invaluable. It should belong to you." Shusa laughed and replied, "Forget it. I have no use for this thing. In addition, this tortoise really hates it. I believe you are the only one who really knows how to use it. Just put it away for now. We can talk about it later." Huo Yuhao wasn't one to procrastinate either. He nodded and said, "All right, I'll keep it for now, but it belongs to the Tang sect." The life guardian blade in the air fell downward and stuck closely to that piece of life gold. Suddenly, a magical scene appeared. Streaks of jade-green light were released from the life guardian blade. The piece of life gold seemed to have been devoured, and slowly melted before fusing within the life guardian blade, becoming a part of it. Originally, the life guardian blade was only as big as a carving blade, but as it consumed this piece of life gold, it was now slowly becoming more like a dagger. Even Huo Yuhao was stunned when he saw this. Why did the life guardian blade devour the life gold? He just said that it's going to be part of the Tang sect in the future, but now. What Huo Yuhao didn't know was that his life guardian blade was strongly supporting his life, after he had nurtured it for so long, and after his immense spiritual power fused with Wang Chua's power of destiny. Naturally, the piece of life gold was much stronger than any ordinary life gold. But although that piece of life gold had devoured the golden tortoise's life energy, and was very strong, a lot of its life energy was released under the effect of the pact earlier. Furthermore, it was absorbed by Huo Yuhao's life guardian blade. It was at its weakest state right now, so it was easily devoured by Huo Yuhao's life guardian blade. Huo Yuhao didn't know that his life guardian blade had slowly developed its own sentience as he nurtured it. Although it wasn't considered intelligent yet, it was still capable of strengthening itself as it devoured the life gold. Just as Huo Yuhao thought of something, his life guardian blade flew back in front of him. The jade-green dagger was now around 7 inches in length, and looked more like a flying dagger. It seemed slightly thicker than its original appearance. The shiny and translucent blade of the dagger shone brightly with jade-green light, and Huo Yuhao could feel the strong life aura coming from it. Huo Yuhao felt very fortunate that he couldn't swallow a carving blade back then, and more fortunate that he had had Electrolux to guide him. In fact, he had also fused with a piece of life gold. However, the difference between him and the golden tortoise was that he had used his spiritual power to complete his fusion with his life gold, whereas the golden tortoise had simply swallowed it. After using his spiritual power to fuse with and nurture his life gold, he finally received positive feedback. After devouring that piece of life gold and the immense life energy it contained, Huo Yuhao could subtly sense thin arteries and veins developing inside his life guardian blade. These thin arteries and veins were like human blood vessels, and there seemed to be something flowing in them. It could only be life energy flowing inside his life gold, but how did it take a fluid form? Right now, his life guardian blade was like a living entity. Huo Yuhao used his right index and middle fingers to gently grab hold of his life guardian blade. Suddenly, everyone saw a layer of jade-green light constantly flow over Huo Yuhao's body from the life guardian blade. As the jade-green light flashed, Huo Yuhao seemed to enter a sublime state. As he thought of something, his life guardian blade turned into a ray of jade-green light, and re-entered his eye of destiny. The immense life energy it brought with it caused Huo Yuhao's body to shudder several times. This life force, which seemed to have turned material, actually caused his spiritual and soul power to fuse even more. Huo Yuhao could subtly sense something as they blended together. He subconsciously lifted his head to look into the sky. Even though he could only see the roof of the spirit transmission tower, his eyes had turned transparent at this instant. He seemed to be able to penetrate everything with his gaze. Everyone was drawn by Huo Yuhao's gaze. No one said anything, or rather, no one dared to say anything. Right now, Huo Yuhao had entered an extremely strange state. It was like time and space had stopped. Tang Wutong was the most astonished. She was in a daze as she looked at Huo Yuhao's eyes. She was in complete disbelief. Impossible, how is this possible? Why do I see my father's eyes in his eyes? He only has 7 rings. How is this possible? This state didn't last for very long before Huo Yuhao lowered his head, and his gaze calmed down. However, in just these few dozen seconds, he seemed to have changed completely. His soul and spiritual power didn't increase, but he seemed to have become different. Among the 4 spirits, the Snow Empress expression seemed to have become more agile. She turned around and hugged the Ice Empress beside her. She sincerely said, "Ice, thanks." After she finished speaking, she turned into a streak of white light, before disappearing into Huo Yuhao's body. The Ice Empress was stunned. She subconsciously turned around and looked at the Skydream iceworm. After hesitating for a moment, she drifted in front of him and gently hugged him. "Skydream, thanks." After she finished speaking, she also flew towards Huo Yuhao and disappeared into his body. The Skydream iceworm was tearing up heavily. It was unknown whether he had sensed something, or whether he was touched because the Ice Empress had hugged him. The Skydream iceworm flew in front of Huo Yuhao. He didn't immediately fuse into Huo Yuhao's body. Instead, he opened his arms wide and hugged Huo Yuhao. "Yuhao, thank you. You've finally let us see hope." After he finished speaking, he turned into a streak of flowing light, before fusing into Huo Yuhao's body and disappearing. The star anise mysterious ice grass swayed gently, and didn't say anything. However, the icy blue glow from its body had evidently become much stronger. It leaned closer to Huo Yuhao's face. After that, it fused into his body and disappeared. Everyone else was confused when they saw all this. It was only Huo Yuhao who understood why the 4 spirits had acted in this way. Yes, they finally saw hope. They saw hope that Huo Yuhao could possibly transcend the mortal world. Even though he was only a soul sage now, they could sense what had happened earlier. Huo Yuhao felt it the clearest. After he refused his life guardian blade, and his spiritual world and soul power took one more step towards complete fusion, he seemed to have heard a call. He didn't know where it came from. It was a call that was guiding him towards the skies. He felt that he saw another world. The call that he heard sounded very ethereal, but it gave him an indescribably strange feeling. At this moment, an indescribable, terrifying aura was suddenly released from Huo Yuhao's body. Everyone around suddenly appeared very astonished. That terrifying aura, which was filled with dark power, surged like a sovereign that had descended. Everyone was suppressed by this aura and couldn't move. It was the same for Huo Yuhao. A streak of pitch-black gas spread around his entire body. His skin started to grow black scales, and a thick aura of darkness instantly engulfed his entire body. The entire outside seemed to have been covered. Huo Yuhao's eyes immediately turned dim. Everything had happened too suddenly, but it struck him very strongly. The connection that Huo Yuhao had sensed earlier was cut. He seemed to have returned to the state that he was in before he fused with his life guardian blade. It was like whatever had happened before had ceased to exist. The dark power slowly disappeared. The scales also slowly retracted into Huo Yuhao's body. The terrifying aura also disappeared, and everything returned to normal. Huo Yuhao seemed to have guessed that this would happen. His expression was very calm. As he looked at everyone around him, who were all very astonished, he smiled slightly as he shook his head and said, "I'm fine." At this point, his spiritual sea started to surge with waves. The Skydream iceworm, Ice Empress, Snow Empress and even the star anise mysterious ice grass started to roar maniacally. The star anise mysterious ice grass had the weakest cultivation among the 4 spirits. In fact, it had only existed in this world for 10,000 years. It had only reached 100,000-year cultivation, because it was bred by the Icefire yin-yang well. However, even it could sense that Huo Yuhao's change was something very rare. Earlier, Huo Yuhao must have had sensed the godly realm. However, this sensation was cut short by the sudden force that came afterward. If this sensation had remained, Huo Yuhao might have found it easier to become a god in the future. Such an opportunity was extremely valuable, even for an ultimate Doluo. The reason why they were so moved was that they truly saw how they could transcend this world and avoid the wheel of reincarnation by following Huo Yuhao. However, their hope was extinguished, just like that. It was the beast god, Di Qian. This video will end here.